I'm ready. Are you? Oh, yes, you are. I can sense it. We are all ready for the hottest podcast blending Second Life and real life. Boys and girls, it's time for the fourth wall with Paul and BK in three, two, one. Talk to me.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Fourth Wall. I'm the scumbag superstar Paul Slater alongside my podcast partner BK. And BK, we have a multi-personality guest on here today, BK.
Oh, really? We're talking about multi-personalities, and I just got done pulling my alter ego out to beat the hell out of LG not too long ago. But you're absolutely right. We have got, and when we get into this, because of what we were talking about before we went into the episode, this is one of the most interesting turn of events, we would say, because, ladies and gentlemen, in the studio, we probably have one of the creepiest characters in SL Wrestling. We have Father Freud. Father, welcome to the program.
That is right, gentlemen. You are witnessing the Saint of Judgment, the Mephisto made manifest, your guilty conscience brought alive. I am Father Freud. How are y'all doing tonight? Or this morning, I guess I should say. Very early for us.
Right. So now here's the thing about it. We're going to talk about this because you mentioned this before we started. You actually have a degree and are going for a master's, and here's how I'm going to say it, and people understand. You can correct me and go into it, but basically in biblical studies, and yet here you are playing a character like Father Freud. You have got to explain how that happened.
Right, that's actually a very good question. Yeah, for people who are interested, out of character, we out of character. I have a bachelor's in biblical studies, as it says, and I'm working on what's called a master's in divinity, where my focus is military chaplaincy. I want to be a army chaplain, specifically go out there and care for the soldiers and all that good stuff. But the character of Father Freud, how do we talk about Freud's creation and everything? Because he's a fascinating person.
Yeah, how do you admit that you're going to school for biblical studies to become a army chaplain, and yet here you are playing a cult leader?
You know what's funny is I never called him a cult leader. Everybody else has been like, "Oh, he's a cult leader. He's a cult leader." I never intended, but you're right. I guess that's so. I take the Shawn Michaels approach. It's a character, and it's just somebody that, to me, I think it works out really well because, one, he's a bad guy. He's a heel at the end of the day, and he's an unrepentant heel. I don't try to go out there and try to convince people that, ooh, Father Freud's actually a good guy. Ooh, this is all the. But I'm out there to make a character happen that is, one, very unique in when we're dealing with SL wrestling as a whole, because there's lots of dark people out there. There's lots of people who do the dark character and do it. Yeah, I know you're laughing over there, BK. I know why you're laughing too. But I just saw a niche when I first developed this character where I was like, I know that I can go out there and do the psycho promo, the creepy promo, the bad guy, the ultimate evil. We had folks like growing up. I grew up on the Kane, the Undertaker, and all that stuff. So obviously those were huge inspirations. Folks like the Sinister Minister, James Mitchell, was also a big inspiration.
Okay, I haven't heard that name in a long time.
Yeah, baby. And of course, when I first was developing this character, Bray Wyatt was huge. So there's a little bit of that in there and everything. There's lots going on with Freud. Do you want the full rundown of how Freud came about?
I have a question, and you can go into it.
Yeah, go ahead.
How much influence do you put in from your biblical studies? How much of that goes into this, but
Oh,
in like a twisted way, in a way, like you know
That,
what I mean? Like how if that does that question make sense? Because I'm trying to, it makes sense in my head. Yeah,
like where do I like get the some religious stuff. Yeah, occasionally I'll throw in some little bit of references. I think I was working with a little bit of Matt the model at one point, and I said vanity, vanity, all is vanity, stuff like that. And then of course, which I think is more philosophical. But another good example is like over at LPW right now. One of the people I'm working very closely with is Rowan Alpha, and she's got a new gimmick, and part of the gimmick is working with me. So I've started calling her my Magdalene, like Mary Magdalene and
right,
stuff. It's there. I do it respectfully. Obviously, you'll there are probably limits to it that I should and I'm careful about it. But like I had a question presented to me the other day because one of the other feds kind of had a thing with like a book burning spot, and they were like, oh, is this too far? Is this and I was like, if you guys ever need to run it by someone, like, where's too far is too far. I'm your guy, but like, I'll as I told you guys a little bit before the show started, I feel like I'm just carrying on a tradition of like pastors who turn wrestlers.
right,
You got Reverend Devon Dudley. Before that, there was Superstar Billy Graham, who was a preacher. I think I do it in such a way that people know where I'm purposely keeping the lines at least drawn in such a way that it's done respectfully. And
right.
if I ever cross that line, I hope somebody is good enough to tell me. But for now, as Shawn Michaels I think said it best, we play a character out here, yeah.
Yep.
And so, but where were
Yeah,
we
yeah.
were
You're
going
gonna
to
get
talk
into
about how Freud.
the evolution of it.
So when I first was developing, when I first came up into Premiere, I was playing a commentator, Joey Sixx, and we could talk about that too after. But when I first came up with this character specifically, I noticed that there was a niche missing for the spooky character, the scary character. At the time, we had a vigilante hunter who was the kind of the silent Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers guy who go out there but nobody talked. Nobody did the scary promo. Nobody went out there to make people feel like, ooh, this dude is just. Ugh. And I was like, I know I can do that. I know I could be the guy who does that. So I started working in the background, kind of coming up with like, how can I create a psycho character so people can get an unhinged promo. And when I was doing this, I was starting to present like the ideas. I think the original name for Freud was actually going to be like Cabal, and he was going to be like an asylum patient. Yeah, a very very different vibe than you see today. And I will I will give credit where credit is due. The initial person who gave me the Freud and Father Freud was Honey Potts. Honey and I she was head trainer Premiere at the time, and she heard the character and was like, so why don't you be the headmaster? Why don't you be this? Why don't you? And then one of the names she threw out was Freud. And because obviously psychology, because my goal was a mind game character where I mess with people on a psychological level, because nobody did that. Everybody was like, I'm just gonna go out there and I'm gonna beat you up in the ring. I'm gonna mess with you in a way different way. By the time I get you in the ring, you're gonna be broken mentally before you ever face me. And that was kind of and she's the one who initially tossed out the name Freud, and I was like, ooh, I like that. So me and one SMF, shout out to Mr. Falkenrath, we're just spitballing and we're trying to figure out what alliteration or whatever, and just I was like, what could I combine with it to give it a good name? And it was like something this, then and that, and then something about Father Freud just slipped off the tongue, and I went, oh, I like that.
Yeah, it's a good
And
name.
then yeah. It's a fantastic name. I've now that I've shouted it 1,000 times, it's stuck in people's brains.
Hey,
But
word of mouth.
hey, yeah. And so with that in mind, Father Freud was kind of born. I went and dressed him up originally very in a Clockwork Orange esque attire, you know, the posh villain, the bowler hat, etc., etc. Just trying to, and I originally was using like a bronze gas mask, yeah, like
Yeah, I
that was
remember that.
my
Yeah,
that.
when you first started, I remember that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that was the initial gimmick. There was like that, and then I took some time off for some real life reasons, and kind of rebranded him in, kind of rebuilt him. And what's cool is the hood and mask that you see was actually built for me originally. Like you can go on the marketplace and find it. Obviously, the original creator put it public and everything. But like when I had asked them to make me a like hooded mask, and they were like, "Yeah, down, bet." And so that's the mask that you see today. I've messed with textures on it, but that's really what you know when you look at Freud now, you see this, and this has kind of become like an iconic look for him, so to speak.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
put a lot of
All
work
right.
into that.
Yeah, right. Okay, so
You don't know the half of it.
yeah, we get that from a lot of people that had the original stuff and how it all evolved from this to this to this, and
Oh yeah.
we're always like, yeah, we understand. Like, yeah, you really don't. Okay, so let's back out of SL for a minute. Let's talk a little about the real life
Mhm.
now. With your biblical studies that you are doing, is it
Yeah.
safe to say that you were brought up in a Christian or okay, I don't want to use the word Christian because I don't want to pigeonhole you. So
No,
a
you can.
a
I'm Christian.
a God fearing house.
Yeah, absolutely. I grew up in a house with two parents who were a devout. We ended up leaving the church that we were going to sometime in my middle school era. I spent quite a bit of time kind of not exactly the person I should have been. And I kind of got back into the faith and got my calling probably when I was like 21, 22, 23-ish, I would say. So, and then like I've been kind of very the devout is a word that gets thrown around a lot, but I feel like I have taken my faith much more seriously since then. And well, like I said, I'm trying to become a some form of pastor in a way in chaplaincy. So you can tell that it definitely has changed me as a person, and for the better too, because I was not a happy person back then. So I'm a lot happier now.
So how
Okay,
did, go ahead, BK.
no, I want to hear yours.
So how did all that come about that you found wrestling, like being in it? Because I
Actually,
know
that's
just
where I was going.
I have a friend of mine who
Hmm.
is was his family was big into like Christian and big into the church and everything, and they forbade him from watching wrestling because it was too violent. So how did that come out? Was that like situation similar to yours, or were your parents just like as long as you go to church every Sunday, it's fine. You go out,
No, I like legit, honestly, like my parents were and I know this is kind I my parents were very cool with everything. Like they were understanding. I didn't have a ton of limits as a child, for better or worse. They were super like, if you have questions, we'll answer it. And my dad was a wrestling fan. He grew up watching wrestling and stuff, and so but I kind of found wrestling all on my own. Like I was I had a TV in my room when I was 7, 8, whatever years old. Born in 96, so this would have been 2004, 2005 when I first watched
Uh,
my first match.
did you just say you were born in '96?
yeah.
Yes, sir. I am going to be the big
Oh
30 this year.
my
I
God.
know. I'm a baby to most people
Oh,
in SL wrestling, but
it just freaking hurt. I ain't gonna lie. I may need to have a come to Jesus meeting. That just hurt my heart.
Yeah,
well,
see, my
you're
son's
in the right
31.
place. Let me talk to you, brother. Let me let me change outfits real quick and we'll have a conversation. No, I'm just playing. Um So yeah, I kind of just was flipping through channels one night because I was a kid that never could sleep well, never had good sleeping things, and the I came across SmackDown, uh, I watched my very first match was Eddie Guerrero versus JBL for the WWE Championship in a
Wait a
steel
minute,
cage match.
was Eddie doing the lion cheating steal?
Yeah, this
Oh,
was at the
okay,
peak of
okay,
babyface.
okay,
This
okay.
was ruthless aggression Eddie Guerrero in the early '05. This was SmackDown 6 time period, buddy.
Okay, okay.
I was hooked.
I'll give you a pass on being a baby then.
Oh yeah, like I love Eddie Guerrero. Like Eddie with the I love the ruthless and like the video games immediately just like I got hooked into the game, the wrestling games from there. I got hooked into I fell in love with wrestling and like it's always been when I was a kid, in elementary school, I remember my guidance counselor asking me, "What do you want to do?" And I was like, "I want to be a wrestler." And like I did the John Cena "You can't see me" like every kid that age was doing. And it so like wrestling kind of had always had a place in my life either growing up. And you know, it came and went as I dealt with others deal with other stuff and everything, but just I really enjoyed it. I loved it. It just, there's something about the sport that kept hooking me back. And nowadays for me it's the storytelling aspect and the like how do we get from this point to that point and so on. So those are all kind of the things that I really love about the sport as it were.
Nice. I like the fact that you caught it at the peak of lion cheating stealing because that was probably his best work ever.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
O-
God rest his soul.
Okay, so I'm not trying to be funny about this, but it is. And you said earlier that you make sure that if you feel there's a line that you may cross or something like that, you pull back and all and everything. But
Mhm.
in all honesty, how many times did you go and do something and then you turn around and had to ask forgiveness for?
Um,
Shoot,
mostly,
probably 2 weeks
mostly
ago.
the yeah, right. Like yeah. Did you see what I did to that poor boy? Like, did you see
Yeah, I
what I
did.
did to TLC? My goodness. So, no, but I honestly would probably the biggest thing is like, perhaps I cuss a little too much in character as Freud than I should have, but like again, this is a virtual reality setting where everybody is playing somebody that they're not, and I've never felt like immediately like, oh, oh my god, I can't believe I've done something so horrible, and that and that's to me, I respect both sides of it so much, and so if I need to ask for forgiveness for something, I'll between me and the Lord and everything, but ultimately I feel like I've been good at keeping that like I said that portion that division there and everything.
But
So
it's art though. I mean, it's art. It's a
yeah.
performance art. So
Hmm.
Okay, now
Yeah,
the big question: do
right.
your parents know about Father Freud?
Do they know about it? My dad and I are like, I cut promos with my father because he's the person who is like he's an English major. He's got a major in like writing and everything.
Oh
So
wow!
like, not only do they know who Father Freud is, they've seen my work. I've shown
Oh,
my dad is like one of my biggest, like, hey, does this sound good? Does this work and everything? And
that's awesome.
he's constant. Yeah, there is nobody who is better at telling me where I am screwing up in a promo than him.
hey, maybe we ought to bring him in to help write to help write.
Oh, he don't tempt him.
I mean, I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Oh, dude, I'd love to get my dad on here. You think I'm wild? You ain't ready for dad the real Daddy Freud, shall we say?
I mean,
Uh,
I bet he'd be a lot of fun to talk to also. But no, 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 we can't do that. We're not going to
oh
do.
yeah.
But it really is. That's really cool that your real life dad actually helped you in SL, because a lot of people, we said this before, a lot of people are like, SL, you're actually in there. Why are you wasting your time? Or I heard nothing but bad stuff about that because of this TV episode or this
Mhm.
documentary or whatever. It's really cool that they support you.
Yeah.
And it's really cool the fact that you're going basically the other end of the spectrum from the way you were raised and what you're going to school for. And it's cool that they're not like, you might not want to go like that. It's like, yeah, let me help you make it better. That is awesome.
Yeah, it's
That
awesome.
I have to say that you can let your mom and dad know that is parenting done right.
Oh yeah, I
I'll
have
give you
given.
100% credit on that one.
Yeah, nobody's parents are perfect, but I would argue that my mom and dad have been incredibly supportive of anything I've chosen to do with my life. I mean, they've done so much for me, and I I feel very thankful for that.
I'm sorry, I'm not laughing at you. I just saw what Tawny just put in there and said, "Don't
Oh
say
yeah,
Freud or I'll lose my stuff."
yeah. The
And yes, I'm cleaning myself up in case in case your parents actually listen to this.
I'll share the episode with them when this comes out, so they can listen to it. They'll get a good kick out of this. Don't worry.
That's
Don't
what.
worry.
Okay,
Uh,
so we're going to go ahead and we're going to, and this is a question that everybody knows is coming,
mhm.
but for some odd reason it stumps them. Your favorite opponent of all time?
That's a great question. I would say, in all honesty, TLC. There's never like when we finished that story last season at premiere, there was so much that happened.
Yep.
I mean, he is somebody that Joker needs Batman. Lex Luthor needs Superman. You've got to have when you have just such an unrepentant evil SOB like Father Freud, you need the perfect face. And the minute I met TLC, I knew I had the perfect. I like just the perfect foil for Father Freud. He's the family man. He's Mr. Goody Goody. He like is pure white. Wears pure white to the ring. His gimmick is like being a doctor, and just everything was perfect for him. And it like our story was very naturally like developed. The if you saw probably little segments of the promo and everything where the build up package 10 good lord, we're talking about 10 seasons ago. I had to take time off because my real life aunt had cancer, god, and she has passed since, so rest
Yep.
her soul.
Just
So I need to
condolences.
it's hey, life happens, cancer sucks.
Yeah.
But I needed to take time off from wrestling, so I was like, let's do an injury angle. And Vince was behind it, Ace was behind it, so I was working TLC, and it's like, all right, TLC, I'm gonna put you over and everything, so like, and then I'm gonna do an injury where I jump off and hit the table, and then like like I hit it in the corner, and so like I've messed up my stomach. The old I was referencing, oh god, I just had the best wrestler in God's green earth. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Harley Race. Harley Race. I was referencing the
Oh,
Harley Race thing.
okay.
So, but he, of course, he's such a baby face that like his character rolls out of the ring, is like, hey, are you all right? Throws the X up. Hey, we need medical out here now, and like it worked so well for that portion of the character of building up his character. And then when I came back, we kept separate for a long time. I was working with some other people. He was on one show, I was on another. But when we finally got reconnected, we could bring up the fact that Freud like felt humiliated by having somebody kind of like pity him. Not pit, but to him it was pity. Because remember, this is a dude who's arrogant, who's narcissistic, who's just evil. So anybody trying to show him help in a moment of weakness is just hate, 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 hate. And that played out into our storyline with me taking the undisputed championship off of him in an I Confess match, in like a huge death match. And then I had to take time off again, which was and unfortunate, but things happen. So but it meant I had the belt, quote unquote, had the belt. I believe they swapped it over to Danny through an alt, but Freud had his belt. He had his, so we had the perfect setup this past season for what I called the John Cena CM Punk rivalry, where CM Punk comes back with the old WWE belt, and it's champion versus champion in a way. Even though we made it very clear, no, Freud is not the champion. No, this belt isn't actually sanctioned, but it was made important because of what Freud did to do it. He beat TLC and walked away with that belt. Yeah, and so that built into this entire story. I started doing more and more evil stuff, quote unquote, attacked a fan and claimed to kill him and everything. Though we never said that, and then obviously the reveal happened, and oh, he's okay. But like it was so, everything was perfect. He is by far, I will never, like, there are other people I want to have amazing stories with. I don't think I will ever have a story as organically perfect as TLC. So
it's a
like
great
just out of
storyline.
character, in character, TLC by far is. I wish more people knew about just how great he is, and that's why I spend so much time right now talking about him. Go check out TLC's work, people.
Sound more like a cheerleader than an opponent.
I mean, I may or may not have, kidnapped his family and terrorized his children, but that's another story.
Careful, he beat me half to death with a crowbar over it. I don't want to know what he would do. You mess with his family.
Okay, so TLC being your favorite opponent. Now you can't use what you just did as part of this. Talking about other than anything with TLC, what has been your favorite kind of match?
So I have made a career, I guess you could say, out of what is called the I Quit match, or as I call it, the I Confess match. So like I love those match types because they're so different. Like you challenge people to be like, okay, especially because it's so vocal, it requires you interacting, especially for the ref to be like, hey, do you confess? Do you quit? Do you quit? Do you quit? And then actually getting on voice and, sounding strange, sounding painful. Never. So whatever's going on in that situation. I've had through that, I've had a death match. I've had, probably a lot of people consider my best match was a TLC match, tables, ladders, and chairs against the Ace. A lot of people consider that like my best work, so to speak, and I loved that match. Don't get me wrong, but I would say my favorite match is, or match type, I guess, if that was the question. If I got the question wrong, please correct. I'll restate, but I would say just because it's become like iconic to my character is the I Quit / the I Confess match.
Okay, well, I mean, I like the fact that you changed it to an I Confess match. That's pretty. That's a good little twist. Okay, so your least favorite type of matches?
Least favorite matches, anything with triple threat or tag team matches. The more people involved, the more headache it becomes.
Well, I mean, we've all done it, and I agree with you. Now, if it's something like an elimination style match or this and that, where you can just, go back and forth, and you can, work with one person for a little bit, and then you switch off as opposed to remember going and tag and this and that. I'm usually okay with those, but yeah, tag matches are probably the ones I don't like. That's why they're like, oh, we got to have a tag match in your storyline. Okay, cool, but it's gonna be a tornado tag match.
Yeah, or just
forget the tagging. Just go ahead and just let us go at it.
As someone who's had to book matches and stuff, and like getting two people to show up and like write a card and actually do stuff is hard enough as it is. Getting the minimum four people to show up is already a pain. And like triple threat matches, they can be a little bit easier on that, especially if you've got, your dedicated three people who can actually go out. But like SL is SL, and so often like, oh no, I used that on the wrong person. Oh no, this happened, and like I have done as much as I can to make that as like through customizing my gestures to swap alignments and everything. I've taught other people to do that during the match. I've like had them triple check what they're doing and everything, but just anything that requires you to overstep like your the more people you throw in, the more headache it just immediately throws onto it. And I yes, yes. Shout out to Alp and Chris and the ACPWS for hopefully fixing that like in the future. So, but yeah, there's my answer for the least favorite. I would sooner do a table, ladder, and chair on top of a like arena with 100 people all around and everything where if I step off I'm gonna immediately like crash and lose my computer, then try to get another like per like tag match or going tag storyline or tag thing going on for it's just my head hurts every time I try to get that going.
Okay. And here's the question that we ask everybody because, because we all have it. What your your number one dream match?
Oh, what a frick. I was just talking. So I have a. Do you? I'm gonna do you one better. I have a list of people I want to work with, and like my dream matches with them.
So you have a list of people you want to work with. Now, is this like, and I'm just going, and I'm saying, let's say for instance that one day you say, "Hey, I want to work with Paul," and is it you and Paul in one type of match, and then you're like, "Hey, I want to work with Tawny one time," and but it's you and Tawny in a certain kind of match, or is this like you would work with these people and then you have one type of match that you would like to work with them?
I'd love to work like storylines with a lot of these people, but if it was a one-off match, it'd be cool with whatever it was. Like right now the names that I've always wanted to work with over is Derek Zane, Xander Garcia, Oliver Wonderful, Morgan Jones. Tani has jumped up, so good call, good shout out to Tani. I'd love to figure out a way to work with Tani at some point. Get the make the BFD confess to something. We'll figure it out. But like, seriously, there's just so many. Like, I want to work with people who are fast and like jump up to do just, can keep that high pace going with me. Um, Sand, do you, so the father fraud. Oh my god, you don't realize that has been my running like
Yeah,
insult name. Everybody calls me.
it's so
I
easy.
love that. It's easy that, but like that is, it really is. But it's
I'm not
very
gonna lie.
funny.
I'm not gonna lie. The first time I heard the name Father Freud, and then I actually saw it, I actually thought it was funny because I thought it was Father Fraud, not because I was trying to be disrespectful, but I thought it was cool because because whoever at the time, whoever's playing this just come right out. I'm not a real father, but I'm gonna make you all hate me for it. That
Yeah, and
I thought it was one of the greatest things ever. I didn't realize it was Freud, like
yeah.
like Sigmund Freud. I didn't realize it was Freud until later on. I was like, but I actually like the idea of being Father Fraud better, but the Freud works too.
I think it works out because then you get best of both worlds. Like, you get the face who never wants to call me by my true name, so they call me Father Fraud. It's a yeah, uh, it's very much like you can get that there where it's like you're nothing but a pack of lies. You do nothing but lie and everything, and then Freud can come back and like I don't know what you're talking about. I have only shared the truth with the people. Um, and that it just kind of plays out that way in such a way where it's such good Saturday morning villain campiness that it works out. I've come to embrace the father fraud name, and yes, I've even come to embrace to an extent the daddy Freud names that people have started throwing at me.
Okay, so now you named off the opponents that basically you would like to handpick, but you never said what kind of match you'd want to have with them.
Oh, right. I'm
Now,
sorry.
you cannot. Now, here's the thing: your I Confess matches are not included because that's a signature match for you.
Okay. So with I would say with like folks like Derek Zane or Xander Garcia, I would love to have like an Inferno match because like they would be such a yeah. I don't know. Sorry, I just saw the reference to Frollo and like somebody who caught it. um, the Inferno. I do apologize. There's a cat that has snuck into the office today, so he is very vocal. Um, but the opportunity really just to work an Inferno match with them would be great. With someone like a Morgan Jones or an Oliver Wonderful, I feel like a scaffold match would be fantastic. Get two people who are flippy dippy, get who do speedster stuff, and force them to like do some balancing work on that, and then eventually lead to like a major like leaping off spot of some type. Uh
Oh.
oh, that would be fun. But trying to get someone to build that in SL, ugh, a Punjabi cage match.
Uh,
Um,
you did that kind of match should never be mentioned at all. That
but
was
yeah, like
that was one of their worst ideas. It really was.
it it we can it had socks, but like the wrong people to do that kind of stuff and everything.
Agreed. Agreed. Okay.
So
So what's these other matches you want there with the matches in your dream list there?
So like let's see, like I said, Morgan Jones, Oliver Run with those, we do that and that. Trying to think. Obviously, I would love to work some of the legends like Alpin Chris. I don't know what match type to have with Alpin, but I would love to have something where the two of us go out there and really like, because like I guess this is the truth of the matter is like I'm a storyteller first. Undertaker said it best. I go out there to tell stories. So
Mhm.
like the match type could be anything. We could have a bra and panties match, and somehow I will make the story important. Like I want that. I am a storyteller by heart, and that's really what Freud was built to be, was a storyteller. You put me in any match type and I'll make it work. I've been in TLC, I've been in a hardcore, I've been in death matches, I've been in some I haven't been in a submission only match yet. That would be funny. Um that'd be a lot of fun, but I'd have to find somebody who is a submission specialist to do it. But um
Think who do we know? Who do we know that does
this is true, Tani. You could be submission match with Tani Recon, BFD versus FF.
For everybody who's listening to us on Dark Star Radio, there's a conversation going on in our open mic
I
channel
won't do
while we're actually doing this, and Joey is actually responding to some of the
I
that are being put into the channel. So we apologize that we're kind of going back and forth and not keeping
no,
you informed.
my apologies. I could keep it focused here, but you acknowledge them first, so now I'm acknowledging them.
Hey, it's all
So
we'll still
yeah,
acknowledge.
yeah. And no, Tani, I don't think I will, because I feel I have made a mistake. To quote that certain episode. Um, the but yeah, like a submission match would be really fun. I want to work with she's actually here too as well, like Mika Greycloak, because Mika was just somebody that I watched come up, and it would feel amazing to have like that opportunity to go out there and put a match on with her, as somebody that I witnessed go from like the very beginnings all the way to now she is current LPW Women's Champion. Round of applause, people. Um yeah, like there's so many good people out there that are just I the truth be told, I want to work with anybody who wants to tell a story. Um, the anybody who's out there to talk about, to go out there to present something different, to not just be well, I just want to go out there and have a match and get my character over and then go home and do it all again to next week. If that's what you want, you don't want to work with me. I like if the only presentation you offer me is, well, my character looks awesome, then I'm probably not the guy you want to work with. We have thousands or dozens and dozens of wrestlers out there who are happy to do that love wrestling first and foremost as a sport and want to go out there and just have amazing matches. I want to have amazing matches too, but I want the matches to mean something.
Yeah.
I like, if say I have a match with you, Paul, as you were talking about earlier, we could have a match and you and I could probably go out there and tell an amazing story in the match. But like, at the end of the day, what makes it important is the build up behind it.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, so like,
you're
and
preaching
you
to
can
the
do
choir
that.
here, Joey.
I know, but like I don't get opportunities to preach, so my preach often without people telling me to shut up. So this is my opportunity. So yeah, like I think what makes it important is those matches is when you have the story behind it to make it interesting, to get the crowd excited, to put it in there with a reason to actually go out and do something special.
That was like
So
that's what LG and I did last season through PW.
mhm.
We only had one match, and I didn't even go out there, but it was how it was presented. Everybody was like, "Oh, LG done screwed up," and then everything happened the way it was, and the story was told, and everything's all good.
Yeah, and I love that. You can have, and yes, you can have throwaway match, like one-off matches with a story behind it. When I was introduced to LPW, I got the person playing Chris Crossfade on to do some social media stuff against me, just to like, hey, I'm I'm mocking. I'm gonna mock you and everything a little bit, and then I was like, that way when Freud showed up, he had a reason to actually show up and attack, like get violent and fight. And when I worked with a one-off thing with Rowan Alpha, we built up the idea of like Rowan kind of being like, ooh, I may want. I should tempt him. I should try to get him on my side and everything, like a good, because it was a heel versus heel, and then kind of that has developed into its own storyline now over at LPW, where she's like fallen into an acolyte, if you were a Father Freud. So, yeah, story to me. I'm not a high flyer. I'm not a technical. I'm a showman, and my job is to go out there and have a match where the show is being told, the story is being told.
Amen.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, like Paul said, you're preaching to the choir here because we're always preaching. Well, basically preaching or whatever you want to say. We've been from day one. Hey, it's about the stories. It's about the stories, and it really I don't want to say it irritates me, but it kind of bugs me a little bit that you can have like great stories written, and then the
Mm-hmm.
people that are in there are like, oh, I want more matches. I want more matches. Because my reply is fine. If all you want to do is matches, then that's what you'll do. You'll go out and you'll just do matches every single week. But don't get upset when you're not in a story because that's all you want to do. And then they're like, well, it's like you got to learn to balance. You have to have a balance, and your matches need to mean something. It's not, oh, I'm just going to go out just so I can have a win-loss record. No, the matches need to mean something to help tell the story.
And plus, like, my thing is, at the end of the day, really, people don't remember if you won or lost a match. They remember how, in most cases, how it led up to that match and the story that was told to get there. You know what I mean? Like that, I couldn't tell you who won a lot of matches, but I could tell you how the story got there in real wrestling. Like, you know what I mean? Like, cool stories with The Rock and Austin. Like, you wouldn't have known that The Rock lost 3 out of the 4 times they wrestled in WrestleMania, or 2 out of the 3 times, but they were great stories. Bray Wyatt,
Yeah.
I mean, made his stuff was so great, but he never won a lot. You know what I mean? Like,
No,
he always
unfortunately.
lost, but the stories leading up to that were always great and interesting and appealing, and that's what people, and to me, is what people remember.
Right. And
Yeah.
it's like you can go, and now don't get me wrong, there are some matches that people might not, of course, we're never going to remember the whole match, but you're going to remember, like, for instance, Eddie Guerrero. Everybody, I don't care who you are, you can't say you didn't admire the lying, cheating, stealing thing, because that was great. But we remember, like, what was it, Kurt Angle, where he went for the ankle lock and Eddie come out of his boot.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay,
the I remember that very well.
right, right. People remember that part of the match, but it's like they remember the promos leading up to it. Like, for instance, The Rock and Stone Cold. The one promo everybody still talks about is the beer truck leading up to
Yeah,
WrestleMania, the beer truck
Yep.
promo. And then before that, it was like, running over the cars. And it was like, yeah, they had great matches, but it was the moments that you remember leading up to those matches is why you still remember that.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
and it was one of those things
Go ahead.
like for instance, and I'm going to use this because to me it was one of the better stories that I'd written or helped write, I should say, was what LG and I did this past season. Was, like I said, we only had a match. Everything led up to it. It was done the way that everything carried over and the way that LG helped his part. And we had, and it was everything else. I had people that who knew insidiously, they're like, this is great work. You guys are actually telling, and then when the final match come up and it ended up being a squash match because it fit as to what was going on,
Mhm.
everybody's like, that was so great
Yeah,
because of everything that led up to it. They were vested in everything that led up to the one and only match that we actually had in that story.
right.
So,
And that's, I think the biggest problem with that happening in SL is just there's so much ego that goes into it, and we don't get that as much because they're, whether people admit it or not, a lot of the times they feel their ego is threatened when they're asked to lose in a certain way. But like, this is a show, people. At the end of the day, like, your character isn't you. Like, I would hope that most of the people here know at the end of the day when they turn this screen off that they're not their character. And like, that gets, I feel that makes it so hard because nobody's willing to be the that to sometimes take that role on of where, like, oh, I'm going to get squashed in this match and everything because that's what the booking needs. Now, I have seen some people who do that, and I'm so happy for them.
Yeah, I mean, it's to me, I
Yes,
always,
that's another problem, is the title's treated as like people think the belt actually matters when it's a set of prims that you threw together or a
but
mesh
I
thing
mean,
that someone threw together.
I'm going to go back to what Benjamin Nirvana said, and it makes a lot of sense. You know what I mean? The belt, more or less, is the promoter, the company, whoever trusting you in that spot.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, all right,
Yeah.
this is an accolade for all the hard work that was put in. So I looked at it like that way when he said that, and that makes a lot of sense. Like, if the booker, whoever is giving you that belt, they trust you that you can take this to another level, you can make it better. So I agree with that. I don't think it's necessarily, it's a prop in a storyline, but it's also basically for all the hard work you put into. So people look at it like that. It's a little bit different. But as far as the storytelling with people like losing, like you're right. It's a lot of it is ego, and a lot of people. Everyone wants to be Steve Austin. Everyone wants to be The Rock. Everyone wants to be the coolest guy in the room, and unfortunately, there's not enough spots for that. And it's telling people I to work a little harder. Like I had a conversation with someone about this recently, and it's just like, well, it's not fair that so and so's in that spot all the time. Well, yeah, well, fucking work as hard as he does. Like, you know what I mean? Work as fucking hard as he does, and then you could be there too. So, it's just a matter, people just want to come in and do the bare minimum and then expect to be like, oh, it's not fair, I'm not getting. Yeah, well, this guy's on here 4 nights a week. He's doing this. He's practicing his promos. He's practicing his matches. Like, guys works hard. And I grade it. We all have real life. We all have other stuff to do. But, you know what I mean? It's a matter of, like, going up against somebody. Like, the one thing I don't like is, and this is, I'm probably talking more than I should actually. The thing I don't is, like you said, Joey, you're a storyteller, right? Like, I'm a storyteller. BK's a storyteller, right? I'm putting all this work in the story, and I tell you, I'm like, hey, what do you think it is? And you're like, yeah, it's okay. And you don't offer me any well, how about we do this, or how
Oh,
about we do that, or what if we did this instead of this? Like me and BK can sit and talk for hours about a storyline, and he'll make points to me, I'll make points to him, and we craft something really cool. But there's so many people to where they don't like anything and don't offer any input, and that's what drives me freaking crazy.
absolutely. And that also happens in the ring as well. I'll tell you, if you ever want somebody, and I'm putting everybody over today because I can never put people over in character. Um, but if you want somebody who will actually give you really good feedback on how your match is going, or like, does this need to be tightened up or anything, go work one match with Alex Calhera, and you will work with somebody who will get you in such an amazing place, because I am as much of a like a pet peeve perfectionist about trying to get just the perfect time, or what cell needs to be happening in that point, as him. Oh, I could work 1,000 matches with him just because it's that good.
Yeah.
um yeah, like, and yes, I'm with you. And the same thing with the storytelling. Like, I work so hard sometimes to come up with stories, especially when you have to break them up into like episodic situations.
Yep.
If I just get back like, yeah, that sounds great, I'm gonna do it now. Yeah, I'll do that. It's like, okay, but you're supposed to put your character, like, this is your character here. We're talking about your character.
Yep.
What does your character want to do in this situation? And if I have been able to, I've been able to see people, especially by giving them the freedom to make those calls, to go from, well, I'm just going to listen to whatever you say, to, no, this is what my character will do. And I love that.
Yeah.
I've been
Exactly.
able to encourage a lot of people to do that just by being like, no, what is your character going to do in this situation?
Yeah. And
Because you've got to have that concept.
right. And it also goes, and like another thing I preach too, like I'm a heel manager. I know what my job is. I know no matter what, at the end of that storyline or whatever the arc or whatever we're doing, I know I'm going to have to get egg in my face. And I'm cool with that. Like, you know what I mean? A lot of people
Mm-hmm.
aren't. They don't want to look embarrassed. They don't want to look, you know what I mean? Goddamn, I was outside of a ring with a pink thong on because you know what? That's what the story told. Like, that's where my character was. And I got running away, got my pants pulled off, and I had a pink thong on. And I wasn't embarrassed, but everyone was into it. And that's what my job is, to embarrass myself. Bobby Heenan for years dressed up in a weasel costume. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just a lot of people not knowing.
We want blood. We want.
Yeah,
Sorry,
like a lot of people
I
not.
love Bobby. Rest his
Yeah,
soul.
a lot of people just not understanding the dynamics of how wrestling works. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and it's not everybody, but you had them. I had a person once tell me, I can't lose to that person because I lose to that person in another fed all the time. And I'm like, all right, like, come on. Like, then they refuse to put that person over because they lost to that person in 3 matches in this other fed. And I'm like, that has nothing to do with this fed. You know, it's the story we're telling. But yeah, I mean, some people get it and some people don't, and that's
and one of the things that irritates me, and I've had this happen a few times, and it goes back to people not putting input when they're like, okay, we're going to put you two together, we're going to put you, however it's set up. It's like, okay, let me help here. Let me just start. Let me jot something down on top of my head. What do y'all think? What do y'all think? And nothing is said, and then all of a sudden, 2 hours for the show. Oh, I want to add this, and I want to do someone. It's like, no, you're not going to come in here and switch all this and throw everything off. And it's like, just, use the KISS system. Just keep it simple, stupid. Just, if you don't like it, say something. If you do like it, go with it. And don't tell me 2 hours for, oh, I want to add, no, you're not.
Don't overthink it.
And especially if they're not the ones who actually end up doing the work for it. If you want to have a spot in a match where you like want to now use a piece of hardcore equipment, but you're not the one who codes the freaking tables or goes out there and sets it up or anything like that, you can kiss you can kiss my ring. How's that? And like, well, you can kiss the ring on my finger, so to speak. We'll say, we'll be polite with it right now. But yeah, I storytelling is such an important aspect to what I do and what my character is when I'm out there. Because I I say this with love. I want to be the scariest person in SL wrestling. I want Freud to be known as, when people talk about who is the king or king or queen of scary wrestlers, I want people to go Freud. That and I feel like I've done a good job of that so far, that
I agree.
at the very least over at Premiere, I don't think there's anybody who would argue that Freud isn't the top of the food chain when it comes to spooky heel characters. Other feds I can't speak for. I know LPW has fallen in love with me, and I love them so much for everything they continue to do and trust me with doing. Um, but beyond that, like I really, that's what I wanted when I made this, when I came back to wrestling this time around, was I said I want to go and show everybody that I can do this character and I can be their number one like evil guy,
Yeah, I
that
mean,
I can out evil just about anybody on the mic.
but looking, it's like if people who don't know your character and me being at Premiere and being behind the scenes and a lot watching stuff and seeing how it's crafted, like all the work that you put into it, your character is just only a small piece of what your character is. Like all the work you put behind videos and behind like your matches and everything, like you have it's a whole package. You know what I mean? Like going out there, anybody could be evil and doing things, but the work that you put behind it is what makes your character so much better, I feel. Like the
Well,
videos that you
thank you.
put and all the dream things and all that. I mean, it's really, I mean, if anybody, do yourself some justice, go back, Premiere Overload, watch that storyline with TLC, man. It was really, really good.
Thank you. That means a lot to me that you'd say that, because I do try to put in a lot of work into
Oh, it
the promo
shows.
packages, and everything, because to me that's, again, we come back to storytelling. The story is what matters. Like if I wrestled every week as Freud, I wouldn't have the opportunity to do that stuff. So that's why I'm very careful about when Freud wrestles. You know, when he goes out there and puts on a match, is it's got to be for important, and there's got to be some build up behind it.
Yeah, I agree.
Um, we but I didn't get a chance to. I don't know how long you normally go. You want to go for this show, but do you want me to quickly cover like how I discovered SL wrestling?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Hold on just a second. Need everybody get their questions ready because we'll be coming right back after our sponsor break. So if you haven't already, make sure you like and subscribe. We'll be right back.
Bitch Please has teamed with Whatchamacallit. Brings you all of your clothing needs from custom wrestling attire to everyday clothes. Established in 2007, Whatchamacallit is one of the oldest clothing stores in SL. For more information, contact Baddock Og. Custom work is available, and they have clothes for men and women.
Have you ever logged into Second Life just to spend time with that special someone? Or just to escape that headache called real life and you just can't seem to find anything to do? Well, here at Warblood City, we have got something for you. Rentable bikes for a bike ride, a cafe for that date night, or a place to catch up with friends over tea and coffee. We also have our very own movie theater, so make sure you check out what's on the big screen. Every year from the 21st of September until the 1st of November, there is Warblood City's annual Autumn Carnival, so make sure to check that out. All you got to do is go into your search bar and type in Warblood Isle. Take the teleport, and welcome to the last stop you'll need for fun. We will see you all very, very soon.
LPW, otherwise known as Limitless Pro Wrestling. Check out their shows Riot Thursday nights at 4 p.m. SLT, then catch them again on Unleashed Sundays at 1 p.m. SLT.
Aaron's Domain is a SL themed server for friends, family, and the SL wrestling community. They have all sorts of channels and categories that may pique your interest and are currently tied to several other feds in the SL community, whether Rain works there or not. They do show their support for the family in the best way that they can. If you wish to become a member and join us, feel free to ask herself or Chrissy and they will get back to you. Welcome to the Aaron family, and the door is always open.
Premier Wrestling is Second Life's leading federation for virtual sports entertainment, where passion meets performance, and the spotlight's not just on the ring, it's on you. We're recruiting now. Wrestlers, commentators, managers, referees. If you've got the drive, we've got the platform. With 4 electrifying weekly shows, Overload, Attitude, Rise, and ABW, Premiere isn't just entertainment, it's a movement, a community, a gateway to the virtual world, proudly partnered with Linden Labs. Whether you're here to compete, perform, or elevate the action behind the scenes, there's a place for you in the Premiere family. Step into the story. Visit premier-wrestling.com and join the action.
All right, and we are back, and we are going to pick up right there, Father Floyd, where you left, where you started in there, in just a second, because we do. I actually do have a question that was presented earlier today when we said, "Hey, we got some questions, so we have to get to this before we get to your SL wrestling stuff." Okay, so the first question that I have, well, actually, the 2 questions that I have so far are from Nico Tigerfire.
Okay.
And the first question is, how do you get into character before every show?
Ooh, good question. Freud has become easier for me to just kind of snap into, but when I was first developing him, music was um a big aspect of me of like actually drawing out the character. I have a I have a Father Freud playlist, like an actual playlist of music that I listen to. That's just kind of we've got like Scream by Avenged Sevenfold in there. We've got some video game music that's just real ominous and evil like and everything. It's all like just stuff to kind of get that feeling of being like a final villain boss kind of thing, or just being a monster, so to speak.
Okay. All right. And then the second question is, how do you deal with burnout?
That's such an incredibly good question because of like I had such terrible burnout when I last left. I find it's important to recognize the symptoms when this starts becoming a job, when you start feeling like, oh my God, I can't believe I've got to get on and freaking write a match card today. I don't want to go out there and do the show. I like when you start feeling like this isn't a show, the dread, that's when you start recognizing those signs. And when it actually comes on, the best thing you can do, take a breath, step back, do yourself a favor. If you want to like, if for you that's playing another character, or if that's like you want to swap from wrestling to do commentary or management, you want to go be a manager, or whether it's just you want to like you just want to go be a fan again for a while, you want to go take a break and sit. I think it is so important we understand that rest is just important to wrestling, and this hobby as it is anything else. Burnout isn't fun, and a lot of the feds unintentionally will push you very hard, especially if you're somebody that they make like a champion or anything. They want you to be able to like, oh, we want to give you opportunity every single season to do stuff and everything. um so yeah, exactly. Or they it's very important to for me, and just shout out Neko for asking that question. Like, recognize the symptoms in yourself. Are you happy? Are you having fun still? Is it becoming a chore? Is it becoming work? If you are having more bad days than good days, because we're all going to have bad days. There's going to be days where you come into SL and you're doing a show or something, and you're going to want to cuss out somebody, or you're gonna want to like take you're the longest breather of your life, or you're gonna be like, that's it, I'm done, I'm never doing this again, just flipping the table whole situation. But learning to go, breathe, I'm gonna step back, I'm gonna catch my breath a little bit, and then when I reflect on, am I doing this because I had a bad day, or am I doing this because I'm having bad days? And if once you recognize that, that's when you need to take the steps to recovery and everything. one of the good things about my real life training is that it teaches about compassion fatigue, and compassion fatigue and burnout are actually not too far off from each other.
Okay. All right. And the next question is from Alpin Chris, and he says, "What does it feel like to finish a really long storyline as you did recently with TLC?" He says he thought you said something about 2 years of buildup.
So the thing about that is how do I even say it? Like, it was emotional for me. It was closing a chapter with your best friend. It was I'll use a Dungeons and Dragons because guess what? I'm also a tabletop nerd. It's like finishing a campaign. If you've ever played D&D or played a tabletop game and you finished it, it was the perfect in yeah, nerd. Yes, I am a nerd. It was just closing a book, or it was you had finished writing like your novel, right? You just finished writing a novel and you have finally closed the book on it and said it's emotional, it's great, it's just I loved it. I loved having that opportunity to do it. I don't think I'll ever have another. That's why I said I'll never have another storyline with it that's long. I've got people I've worked with before that have been in that similar vein. Like my first ever storyline was with Danny Thunder, so maybe we could do something on the same sort of vibe. But the whole situation with that is just like yeah, Danny Thunder there. He was just somebody I really cared a lot about. He might be somebody I could do something similar with, but TLC, like I said, 2 year storyline, and it was very, like I said, it wasn't intended to be a long storyline. It just happened to be a long storyline because all the pieces were there. The pieces fell into place for that. So emotional, happy. I'm trying to think some other words. Content. Like I was at peace with it. It was special.
Okay, so here's something that Paul and I have brought up before. Matter of fact, we spoke about it with Hammer when Hammer was a guest on the show.
Could I pause this really quick to out of character to use the restroom just for like
Yeah.
5 seconds? Thank
Figured.
you. Give me just a moment. I will be right back.
Yeah, go right ahead. And while we're waiting on him to come back, we're going to read this, but we need to remind everybody that when you have questions, please send them directly to myself or Paul so they don't get lost in the open chat. But I got you. I got you over there. Make sure. Yeah, there we go. Wash your hands. Do you realize this is going to be on YouTube? We're talking about the guy. Well, he's not even here. Thanks to Chris, he talking about wash your hands. Oh my God. Oh, the people we consider friends, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, Paul. What do you think about this? What are your thoughts on the guy with him doing the Bible study, but then playing this whole basically a cult leader type thing? Well,
I
because we
mean, I,
well, because you were talking about how people were going to freak out when we were talking about doing the whole creed thing. So, what's your whole take on
I
that?
think it's interesting. I mean, probably he knows. I mean, talk about research and this stuff, and he would probably know
Yeah,
better than anybody.
yeah. He probably come up with some really twists. Maybe I need to talk to him about something to do with Insidious. Maybe I need to get some ideas for Insidious off. If Insidious ever shows up again, get some ideas.
Yeah.
Oh, what do we got?
My
Oh, okay.
apologies about that.
You're good.
Oh no, not a problem. We were just talking shit about you while you were gone.
Oh, good. Somebody has to.
Yeah. Okay. So we got a couple more questions, but this one I have got to stay in the local here. Okay. So Ray Volution wants to know. I think this is more of a challenge the way I'm reading it, but they want to know, how would you build up your retirement match?
Well, first I'd have to. Good question, Ray. Everybody's trying to stump me today because I've been good on the questions everyone else felt stumped on. So now they're like, all right, we're gonna bring it home with this. For me, it would have to one be the right opponent. It'd have to be a Danny Thunder, a TLC, or maybe there's somebody else coming up that I would do it with. An SMF, for example, this is another person who I worked with previously. That's just somebody I adore and love and greatly appreciate. Just or perchance, like I said, with so many people. Mm, Mad Mike would be a very fun retirement match, I am certain. And then yeah, it'd have to be the match itself would have to be bloody because I'm very I wasn't what's funny is like a hardcore wise, I wasn't never my like I didn't want to do hardcore stuff. Then I started doing it and it just became like something I won't say good at, but like it's something that kind of became part of the character. So it'd have to be some sort of very good bloody match, and then I'd want to do it the right way. I'd want to leave the boots in the ring, and I would want to leave the mask in the ring.
Yeah, you definitely need to be talking to Mad Mike. Seriously, Mad Mike would give you a retirement match that
But
no one would forget.
oh yeah, I'd want that kind of level of thing, but it'd have to be the story building up to the thing that would be more important. Like the
Oh,
match itself
sure.
could be fantastic, but
Mm.
I would need the story behind it to be like this is Freud's last match,
Right.
So that'd be my response. Is it would it's something with a good story, something very bloody, and it ultimately ends with Freud leaving his mask and his boots in the ring.
Okay. I'm reading this next question, and I'm not going to lie to you. I am dying to hear the answer to this one.
Okay.
This one comes from a very close friend of ours, a very good friend of the show, Trixie Vondergeist.
I love Trixie. Shout out.
She wants to know that if Father Freud were to be a furry, what would he be?
So, fun fact about that, a lot of people have been like, what would furry Freud be? Um Horrifying for starters would be the first response to that. I would say that I've a lot of people are like, why don't you be a hellhound? Why don't you be this? What I would need him to be like a skinwalker, almost like a Wendigo or something, where he's just like not all fur. He'd need like bony face and like claws and just he'd need to look more like a monster than an actual like furry. He couldn't be a nice looking furry. He'd have to be something kind of hideous and ugly. So like an SCP or like I said, a Wendigo or something.
Uh, okay, I got it. Okay. All right. Our next question for you is from Fox Violet. Wants to know, has anyone called him Father Freud as in, oh, has anyone ever called you Father Feud as in Family Feud?
Nobody has called me Father Feud yet. I think that be maybe that's an opportunity for a new sign that people can take to the shows. Like you start calling him Father Feud because he's looking to start shit with everybody. Pardon my French.
Yeah, remember your parents are going to hear this.
Oh, they've heard worse out of my mouth, unfortunately. All
Okay.
right.
So now we have a couple of questions. Actually, it looks like three of them from Mason.
Oh,
Mason wants to know, question number one is, what has been the most challenging aspect of doing SLPW?
doing one of the most challenging aspects of Second Life Pro Wrestling. Okay. Time. I would say time is probably the most like constraining aspect of anything that we do in wrestling, especially when you are part of the wrestling, because it doesn't just you most people, especially the fans, go out there and they watch the 15-20 minute match. They don't know that those two people at minimum probably put in 2 to 4 hours that week preparing that match, talking about how they're going to do the match. Um, if you're somebody like me, you're going through and recreating new gestures out of the animations you have to make spots work. If you are, if it's a hardcore match, you're now scripting the weapons for the spots that you want them to happen in. The time is by far the biggest enemy of good wrestling in SL Pro Wrestling as a whole. I'd say that. The next hardest thing would probably be, I would say, I would say the personalities. It's a double-edged sword with that, and we've talked about that with the whole storytelling thing. But like, you get really good people who are reliable, who are professional, who get the storytelling, get that, and then you get some people who are just like, they may be two out of the three. They may be reliable and they get the storytelling, but they may not necessarily have the best in-ring skills, or they may be somebody that like can tell a match and they kind of get the storytelling, but they're not exactly reliable. They have a lot of computer issues. They can't make the times that you want to make to be able to schedule it, and they pretty much are like, well, the only time I've got available is like 2 hours before show date. The they and yeah, some people just forget that they're booked and don't even show up. Like, there's a lot that goes into it with it that yeah. And another great shout out, opponents that just seem to go through the motions instead of showing passion. The time and personalities are probably, and the different personalities you deal with are probably the two biggest challenges to SL Pro Wrestling, but they work out in such great ways because of that.
Okay. Now, the second question is, how did it feel coming back after you took your break? Was it weird?
Um, I I was actually very lucky that for the most part the places I went to embraced me. Like, obviously Premiere, they when Premiere called me back, more or less, of I peeling the curtain here, since this is an out of character show. Vince reached out specifically to ask if I'd be wanting to come back and do something at Full Circle to reveal the return of Freud, and I was like, I had gotten control of my college schedule enough that I could make that work, and so I decided, yeah, why not? Let's do it. And so they were super sweet. Mike and Ollie, they embraced me very quickly too. Like, they as soon as I because SMF was the one who got me to meet up with them and talk. And that has been such an incredible amount of, like, the community is just so great. Like, the SL Pro Wrestling community, I know I talked about the personalities, and there are characters. Let's just say, I'll say it politely, there are definitely characters amongst the community, but the community as a whole are very loving. They're very passionate, and I got very lucky that I was welcomed back with open arms, because I know that's not true for everybody. I don't think it was weird. I thought it was great.
Okay. All right. And the last question, it's one of these that it goes from a statement into the question. So it's kind of part of that about coming back. But it says that Mason looks at her federation from 2 years ago and barely recognizes any of the names that are showing up in 2026. Has that ever felt hard for you to come back to?
Yeah, I mean, I like, you learn to make new friends. You're very be Jake Roberts said it best: be a heel out there, be a face backstage. And I've been lucky that through that I've had a lot of people, and there's still some, thankfully I've been lucky, there's still some old names that were floating around when for example, when I came back to Premiere, I recognized probably two-thirds of the people that were there, and the new people I watched and I listened to, and they've since become friends of mine as well. So it can be hard. It can be hard, especially the hardest. I'll tell you, and we won't have to go into detail. The hardest aspect is seeing who we lost in that 2 year period, because we lost a couple people in my last return that I didn't know about, like Wicked Hound and Cherokee and a few other names. That was rough.
Yeah. Lose you?
So it looks like we got a question from the thing that I do
We
want to
lost
answer.
BK. Yep.
Oh,
Hold on. I think we
Oh,
lost
we gotta wait
BK.
on. Yep,
No,
yep,
no,
yep.
no,
We'll
no,
wait
no.
till BK.
I got it. I was on my screen. Give me a second. All right.
Take your time.
This is
All right.
from K. Do you have any theater or voice acting training? And it only has to be convinced that you have done it before. I probably
Ideally,
said that wrong. Ideally, yeah, I spelled that.
Andili, Andili is Andili. Do I have any theater or voice acting training? No, I have played a crap ton of D&D is what I have. um, no, actually, I wanted to be a theater kid. In fact, I joke that this wrestling and tabletop is my opportunity for the theater kid in me to come out. Because I was actually, when I was coming up, I was at least in high school and stuff. I wanted to do it, but I was in ROTC at the time. Gee, I wonder why I want to be a military chaplain now. So I do love the theater. I do watch like some musicals and some other stuff, but like no previous training. This is just me, baby.
Just good.
All right,
Joey's just good. There he is.
I apologize for that. I have no idea what happened. All of a sudden, my net dropped. Okay, so I have another question, and I have been asked not to name who this is, and I'm going to respect that. And actually, it says the question is for Joey, but actually, it's for everyone. How do you measure your success of a good storyline? Is it consistent reactions, traffic, or more of an internal thing?
You learn who you can listen to at the as you go through for who gives you genuinely good feedback. Obviously, the old saying, it's hard for me personally, the saying that if the crowd is loud, that then it was good. It's that is kind of true, but then you get some of the people that that are out there just to get you, to promote you, and that's great, but you learn who are watching. And for me, part of what I get consistently on that is like um asked to do it again. When you're being asked over and over and over again to do a story again, to do a story again, to do this again, you learn just who to trust and who give you great yeah, the eternal response is very important to me. I love going out there and hearing the people go out there and respond to me and be like, boo, shut up, we don't like you, you're creepy, you're just a religious freak, blah 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 blah, blah. But like walking backstage to and then getting an immediate DM of like, hey, that was fantastic, I have never seen anything like that before. That means a lot when you're in this business and you're trying to tell a story. That just the responses you can get.
Okay. All right. Well, we have where to go because people are putting questions into
Alpin.
open. Well, Killer Blade had a question,
Oh,
but
yeah, yeah, yeah.
they keep putting the questions into open mic and they keep getting buried. But here it is. I found it. It says, "Do you have any theater or voice acting
Yeah, I already
training?"
asked him that while you were out.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I already
Okay.
asked him
I've
that.
got it's that one. Okay. I
Yeah.
wasn't here.
Now
Okay.
you're good.
The next question is from Alpin Chris. It says, what are some signature things that you try to get into a Father Freud match? When planning a match, what is Father Freud's weakness for the opponent to exploit?
So if you watch the previous TLC versus Father Freud match, I kind of revealed the big fear for Father Freud is his identity. You mess with the mask, it's like a luchador. It's a good way to threaten him. It's a good way to go after him. Be things I tend to include. I like um I'm a little bit of a Sabu fanboy, just a little bit. So I love barbed wire. I love getting barbed wire involved. Something wrapped around, like I'll either come out with wrapped around my hands, pretty common thing. I sometimes I'll wrap it around my body. the yeah the for me it depends some aspect of like blood is important a little into a Father Freud like hardcore match. It's that if I'm just talking about a general, if you're asking about a Father Freud match in general when planning like what are things to talk about, um it all depends on who I'm working with, where the storyline works best. If I'm working for, say, somebody who their strength is their the character is a powerhouse, I will make sure that my character displays that by trying to, you know, maybe overpower them and be shown that no, you can't overpower them. I consider selling important to that. What makes my opponent look good is part of what I want to sell. If they're a trickster, I'm going to let them get a trick over on Freud. I may out trick them in the end, but you're going to get to trick me. If you're a speedster, I want you to display that you can either keep up with me or outdo me. If you're a technical wrestler, I want you to out chain wrestle me. So it depends a lot about who I'm working with for those moments. For me personally, it's the story I can tell with them in that moment of the character being treated with like oh gosh, my brain is frying at that question now for my personal things. It's for, like I said, I like a lot of high flying and Freud's aspects just because it gives him a little bit of something different. Everyone's a high flyer, but I like to do a lot of springboardy, flippy dippy stuff.
Okay. Oh, I mean, that's really cool.
Yeah. As I
All
said, I'm
right.
a showman at the end of the day.
All right. Now, one of the things that you were mentioning before we went to the break and we started taking the questions is you wanted to tell us your story about how you discovered SL wrestling.
Yeah, and that'll actually play out because somebody just asked me about how was I so natural on commentary. So this works out great. So you're going to learn something, and I think this is true for, I would say, 95 to 99% of the people, is that some of the best talkers out there are former commentators. Um, for the for me, I started when when I got into Second Life. I was a role player. I loved role playing. I've done Bleach role play. I've done other role play. Done fantasy. You name it, I've probably done it. And in SL. And when I was at the time, I was role playing at a Final Fantasy sim called Midgar, and I met somebody by the name of Zarak and you, who in the SL community is famously known as Camera Kitty.
Yes,
Camera
I remember
Kitty,
that name.
mm-hmm. Camera Kitty is the one who took me to my first wrestling show, which happened to be, I believe it was United Honor Wrestling, at the time, run by one Maxine Darkwatch, or Maxine and Drizzy, I believe her name is also. And I got introduced to SL wrestling through there. And in fact, I dug up, I have in my inventory, I dug up my old application to both UHW and VWE, from like 2011 2012 time period, where I think I did one commentary show at VWE my entire time there, and I think I did two or three for UHW. I was in and out in like a month, and I played like I have to say this because people, yes, God, she's retired, but I was basically playing for my Bleach fans out there, our Kisuke Urahara, but as a commentator, and that was very funny to me at the time. Um, but then I kind of disappeared from that again because was just like, I got to do stuff, and then, well, 10 years later, something like that, I dropped into. I was like, I want to do SL stuff again, but I don't want to try to find yet another role play sim to go to. I used to like wrestling. I wonder what's changed. So I searched wrestling. And at the time, what came up was Premiere. So I went to Premiere first and kind of naturally fell into that, like, just signed up, did my usual stuff, and told him I wanted to do commentary because I had a little bit of experience at it. I just, I grew up watching commentators and I loved commentary. It's the first thing they make you do 90% of the time at Feds, anyways. At least back in the day it was. But like I said back in the day. But now I created a character known as Joey Sixx, the one who's got yours. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, devils and divas of all age, welcome to another episode of Premier's Attitude. My name is Joey Sixx, the one who's got yours, and with me as my co-host, and I'd go off on that. And that helped that the commentary, I did that for a couple seasons, and it was very fun. It was very, very fun to do commentary. I was highly loved as a commentator. And then from there, I was like, okay, I want to wrestle. And then that's when Freud kind of came about. So I have a lot of love for Sirac and for being the person who brought me into it nowadays. So it's very cool. I love
Very
it.
cool.
I love it. I still love it.
Okay, well, all right. There were some very good questions, and thank you so much for the answers and all that other good stuff.
Mhm.
We are coming to the close. This is the opportunity that we give everyone, and this is where you get to pass on any knowledge or any advice for anybody. I mean, even as and Paul will tell you, there's been several times when we get done with shows and we'll go and kind of like do a little post show thing. And both of us like, wow, I learned something today. I never thought about it that way. So there's always an opportunity to enlighten even people who've been doing this for 100 years and people who've been doing it for 100 hours. So the floor is yours right now. Pass on any information, any advice you want to give anybody about wanting to be part of the SL PW.
If you want to become an SL PW wrestler, be somebody who's professional, be somebody who is reliable, that you show up when you show up. If you can't show up, tell your bookers. And if you want to be something, if you want to do something special with it, be willing to tell a story. Go into it with the idea of what can I tell about my character, what can I tell about the opponent's character, and what can I tell about the story as a whole with that. People, as we talked about, they remember moments and they remember the story that led up to it. At the end of the day, you're not going to nobody's going to remember a full match. It's just not going to happen. But they're going to remember moments that were iconic to them, and they're going to remember the story that led up to it. So be ready to tell both of those aspects of be reliable, be professional, and be ready to tell a story about how I can get myself, my opponent, and the show over.
Nice.
I'm not gonna lie to you, truer words probably could not have spoken. Really, really could. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Father Freud. It's going to be a pleasure. And I got a feeling someday in the near future, you're going to be back here again because you have a lot of information, a lot of story. And with what we learned about you from the beginning, very interesting insight on some things that we can bring to light. No pun intended. All right. All right, everybody. We want to thank you once again, and we will see you all next time.
Bitch Please has teamed with Whatchamacallit. Brings you all of your clothing needs from custom wrestling attire to everyday clothes. Established in 2007, Whatchamacallit is one of the oldest clothing stores in SL. For more information, contact Baddock Og. Custom work is available, and they have clothes for men and women.
Have you ever logged into Second Life just to spend time with that special someone? Or just to escape that headache called real life and you just can't seem to find anything to do? Well, here at Warblood City, we have got something for you. Rentable bikes for a bike ride, a cafe for that date night, or a place to catch up with friends over tea and coffee. We also have our very own movie theater, so make sure you check out what's on the big screen. Every year from the 21st of September until the 1st of November, there's Warblood City's annual Autumn Carnival, so make sure to check that out. All you got to do is go into your search bar and type in Warblood Isle. Take the teleport, and welcome to the last stop you'll need for fun. We will see you all very, very soon.
LPW, otherwise known as Limitless Pro Wrestling. Check out their shows Riot Thursday nights at 4 p.m. SLT, then catch them again on Unleashed Sundays at 1 p.m. SLT.
Aaron's Domain is a SL-themed server for friends, family, and the SL wrestling community. They have all sorts of channels and categories that may pique your interest and are currently tied to several other feds in the SL community, whether Rain works there or not. They do show their support for the family in the best way that they can. If you wish to become a member and join us, feel free to ask herself or Chrissy and they will get back to you. Welcome to the Aaron family, and the door is always open.
Premier Wrestling is Second Life's leading federation for virtual sports entertainment, where passion meets performance and the spotlight's not just on the ring, it's on you. We're recruiting now. Wrestlers, commentators, managers, referees. If you've got the drive, we've got the platform. With 4 electrifying weekly shows, Overload, Attitude, Rise, and ABW, Premier isn't just entertainment, it's a movement, a community, a gateway to the virtual world, proudly partnered with Linden Labs. Whether you're here to compete, perform, or elevate the action behind the scenes, there's a place for you in the Premier family. Step into the story. Visit premier-wrestling.com and join the action.